Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to REDCast, the official podcast of the Regional Elite Draft League. I am your host, Regenix, and co-hosting with me this week, we have the finest selection of people from around the community. On this week's panel, starting off, we have Yellow Division analyst Mike Recht. How are you this evening?
Hello, I am doing great. I'm here representing the two best people in this league, of course, and I'm glad to be here.
Those two analysts, those two people being the analysts, I should say. And probably the most hyped person to have on the cast, we have the man who made the Regional Elite Draft League possible long before his YouTube fame. He is the originator of the league, he is a current community moderator, former player, and the current P4G champion, Mr. Bill Standish. How are you this, morning? How are you this morning, I think it is for you.
Morning. That is quite an amazing intro. I'm humbled. It's so nice of you.
I try my best. But yeah,
I appreciate that.
But yeah,
happy to be here.
Great, and thank you for getting up so early to be on the cast.
Honor to be here.
And then finally, last but not least, we have returning co-host Lord Zeden, who will be joining us a little bit later in the cast, as he has to take care of some prior obligations, but he will be here and we will get his opinions on the stuff that has gone down this week when he arrives. So folks, shall we just jump straight into the action this week? Because this week we have a new thing to go over, which are the Week 2 trades, alongside all of our games and the predictions for the upcoming week. So shall we dive straight in?
Sure. So
the Week 2 trades that have come into effect before all of the games reviewed. We'll start with Yellow Division. The CLE Legends, coached by Nathan22. He has opted to trade his Gardevoir for a Primarina and a Diggersby for a Nidoqueen. I think as a whole it strengthens his draft massively because he had a massive stack of psychic weaknesses which he's been able to reduce to just his Necrozma now. I think it adds, he doesn't exactly lose power from it either, so I think it's really solid trades for him. Any opinions from either on any of those mons?
I think it's sort of interesting because I would have thought that Nathan would have preferred to keep Gardevoir and just pick up Nidoqueen, but I assume he wanted to get Primarina and Nidoqueen sort of to make a better like wall breaking or offensive sort of core that has like a bit more of a backbone to it, while Gardevoir's a bit more frail. Diggersby's a bit more frail, so I guess that's sort of what he's looking for, and I guess what he's been struggling with in previous weeks.
Yeah, I think week 1 highlighted the weakness that he has in terms of psychics. Any notes from you, Mike, as the Yellow Division analyst you want to bring up about this, or?
Well, I find it impressive how Nathan, after getting 2 trades, still has no mons that take neutral damage from fighting.
And this was actually a point that you brought up in his analysis, actually. Yeah, that's right. These 2 don't contribute towards that problem, do they? So everything's either super effective or weak to fighting. That's pretty wild, actually. Alright, cool. So, moving on to the Blue Division, we have a bit more of a complex set of trades. So, first up, we have a coach trade, which is a bit of a rarity in the league, between the Virginia Escaviliers, coached by Arctic Weavile, and the DC Castforms, coached by Lady Emma Sky. The Virginia Escavaliers have traded their Cryogonal for the DC Castforms Avalugg. I mean, I don't think there's a lot to say about that one. They've traded one of the Gen 5 Ice Spinners for the other Gen 5 Ice Spinner.
Generally interested to know like how that went down, like who is like, oh yeah, you should get this one, it's a lot better than the other, because it's like comparing. It's
like comparing what? Oh, has he muted himself?
They're both pretty awful.
So, alright, okay. Well, I mean, I think on the side of Emma, it gives him a more reliable spinner, even if it is Avalugg, but he was really struggling with removal in his opening week, so I guess I value Avalugg over Cryogonal, so I think he got the better end of the deal for sure. Moving on from...
I definitely prefer Cryogonal.
You definitely prefer Cryogonal, really? Well,
Oh,
okay.
hell yeah. Always.
Fair enough.
I hate the table.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that point then, unfortunately. But following on from that coach trade, DC Castforms also opted to make a free agency trade, trading in their Chandelure for a Rotom Heat. So Rotom Heat obviously kind of assisting that hazard weakness the team has, dropping some wall breaking potential for a Rotom Heat with the newly added Defog.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the power drop there? I mean, I don't suppose
Dual Stab is...
Go ahead.
Chandelure's Dual Stab is unresisted by every type, unless it's like a dual typing. But like Rotom Heat, still, if you want to fire off choice specs over Heats, it's gonna hit like a truck because as strong as Chandelure, but it can do somewhat of the same sort of stuff with just additional momentum and deep hooks. I'm all about it.
Cool.
He still does have a Swallow.
Yeah,
Force
it's not like he's
breaking.
lost out on a huge amount of breaking. That's completely right. I don't think I've got a great deal to say on that other than it helps with the hazard problems he's having. They're not optimal, but they're better than before for sure.
Have more levitators now,
Yeah,
which is always good.
more ground immunities. Moving on, we have the Dunfermlinoones making an FA trade, trading in their Ivysaur for a Machoke.
I like it.
I think it's better. It's a result of allowing
He was lacking a
Lone...
fighting type.
Yeah, he was. I think it's the result of allowing Lonely to pick your tier 5 as well for you. That's why you don't let him make any sort of contribution towards your team, because you will end up with an Ivysaur. And finally, we have...
We'll definitely be doing something.
Yeah. And then finally we have the Vancouver Milotics trading their Hitmonlee for a Hitmontop. Hitmontop, to me, is probably a bit better on TB's team due to he has a really frail and aggressive team. Whereas Hitmontop gives him sort of that bulky, reliable spin rather than the fast, potentially stoppable rapid spin. I
He
think.
has a Sub-Serena, so I'm not sure if Hitmontop makes the most sense necessarily.
I'm a bigger fan of Hitmonlee, as I just think Hitmontop is rather... Because like its best fighting stab is close combat, the defenses, and if it's supposed to be a defensive mon that's not getting helped by that, and then outside of its stab, rapid spin, maybe toxic, what have you got, like a priority move? It's an amazing defensive mon because it just doesn't do too much, and it can just often be walled by a good psychic type or ghost type. But I mean, if it works out for them, then
Okay, great. So that covers all the trades for this week, and we will actually be able to see how some of them impact their games in the upcoming week. So how about we just start jumping in with the Blue Division games. So first up we have the Dunfermlinoones, coached by Jock, taking on newcomer and league stand-in Apetech 13 or Clyde Frog 53 or what other names he goes by, I don't know, there's about 5 of them. And his Dutch Dragonites. So if you guys got the game loaded?
instantly when I look at this team, I'm just like, both of these people have amazing Fairy Dragon Steel cores.
Yeah.
The Fable, Mega Charizard X, and Steelix, and then Celesteela, Garchomp, and Sylveon. Just really good.
three real top end. Two sets of three real top end threats. But sort of from the outset here, how do you favour the team matchups? I mean, really, like Garchomp Celesteela for me is just one of the biggest threats on the field.
Yeah, I think one of the things is a lot of people say, "Oh, Rotom's a really good check for Celesteela," but if you can catch it with a Toxic, Run Protect, and Leech Seed, it's going to get whittled down and just going to drop at the end of the day. So I don't see that as a huge threat. Then he's got a Cellgord that can't break it, a Steelix that probably can't break it, a Clefable which probably can't break it, and a Mew that may be able to break it if it's like set up, and then a Charizard which he has a Garchomp for, a Sylveon for, a Nihilego for, and a Seismitoad for. So I think Celesteela is just going to absolutely go to town on this guy's team.
Cool. Any thoughts from you, Mike?
Well, I pretty much agree. I feel like the Celesteela was just seeming like the definite MVP
from the outset. Yeah, I can definitely see that. So how about we just we just jump into the match. If you have any turns that you want to highlight, talk about any plays, just say stop and I'll stop it on the viewers. Just need to make sure we're all on the same turn so the viewers are seeing exactly what we see. So start the game in 3, 2, 1, and we're going. So turn 1, Sylveon versus the Rotom. Obvious pivot. Nothing much to say. Generally, I think the overall thing with this game was it was played as standard as any other game can be. And there we see what you talked about before the game. Turn 3, showing Rotom having to take that Leech Seed.
Went for Leech Seed instead of the Toxic. I mean, I hope he has Toxic, because then that just gives it the chip that goes every single day. And if Seismitoad was able to get up rocks, then it just every time it comes in, it's taking a little bit of whittle. And if it doesn't have reliable recovery, Celesteela can just beat it easily.
Yeah. So one sort of important factor I want to draw kind of attention to here is, obviously, starting at turn 5, Seismitoad comes in on the Charizard. It doesn't set up rocks, but it does get a Toxic onto the Charizard because which is important because now it's on a timer. But then Sylveon switches in and takes 59% from a Fire Punch. I mean, it's probably not ideal that your Charizard X check is taking over 50% from a Fire Punch.
No, I do think he was just trying to pivot into Garchomp because he had been going for Dragon Claw rather consistently. So baiting him to go for an actual Fire Punch on the Garchomp was a pretty alright play, but yeah, it did a lot to Sylveon, which probably shows that it's not a Charizard check.
I feel like there was no reason to click Dragon Claw when the Seismitoad died to a Fire Punch anyway.
Yeah.
A relatively good play.
So I think probably a bit of a misplay as well on Jock's end there to give Sylveon so much unnecessary damage. We're moving along now. Turn 10, Clefable's showing off some of that Gen 6 yellow magic, pretty much crippling Nihilego.
Reliable check to Clefable, basically half his team outside of Steelix, because again, if Steelix is gone, Nihilego also can just destroy most of his team after a +1 in special attack.
Yeah, but now that it's been paralysed, you take that threat out of the equation because it no longer has the speed to handle Earthquake Zard, it no longer has the speed to really effectively break Mew, or even handle Rotom really, at this point. Hidden Power Grass for Seismitoad. Hidden Power Grass Rotom Wash at turn 16. Any overriding thoughts on that? I mean, I think that's pretty good prep. But
yeah,
it exists, but
I mean,
don't have anything else.
I think overall, I think it'd probably be better running Toxic maybe, but
yeah,
yeah, it did work out.
Now, yeah. turn 19 we see that Jock goes back to that strategy of trying to whittle the Rotom Wash down with the Leech Seeds, and he makes a good play on turn 20, or at least I thought he did until I realised that he's not Magic Guard. Sorry. He doubles into Clefable there, and the Leech Seeds reveal that he's unaware Clef. I guess he was concerned about SD Chomp maybe.
I would say one thing that Clyde's done pretty well so far is he's broken down all of Quark's Charizard X checks.
Did you just call it?
It's exactly, you know. Sylveon said Seismitoad's dead. If he gets +4 with Charizard, it may just win at this point, especially because Neilo gets paralyzed.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, now that Celesteela's burnt, it just can't do the damage to Clefable, as we see on turn 21. It gets to the point where he's going to start losing a war. He does opt to switch out anyway, and Jock actually predicts that really well because he catches the Zard with Leech Seed and the already present Toxic. I think that was actually a really solid prediction to try and salvage something, because he's in a really bad spot by this point in the game. I think everybody can agree. Being 2 mons down with a crippled Nihilego.
Yeah.
It's not a spot you want to be in against Abe's team.
Burned.
I mean, the Charizard does reveal Roost. So, and did
Rotom's
it?
Really
Did it?
Yeah. Because Rotom killed both Sylveon and Seismitoad.
It has so far, yeah. It's really put in the work for him.
And it's done a huge chunk to Garchomp too.
Yeah, on turn 25, you're right. And at this point, he's just able to play safe around the Garchomp, switch in the Clef, and heal up using Moonlight. I think those early mistakes that Jock made have really just really put Abe in the driver's seat for the entirety of the game. He had no need to make any risky or over-aggressive plays. He could just whittle down everything he's been able to, or everything he's needed to put himself in the most comfortable position.
Where on turn 30, it looks like his Celesteela is just going to go down, which looked like the best mon on his team.
Yeah, for sure, from the outset. I mean, its leftovers are neutered by the burn. All of the Leech Seed recovery, and Rotom picks it off again with a Hydro Pump.
And actually, Clyde still has yet to lose a mon, and the Nihilego just gets paralyzed. That is oof.
I mean, he makes a safe play in Volt Switches instead of risking that Hacks and going for the KO. But he does allow Steelix to come in and pick it off with a heavy slam without much trouble.
Steelix lives the Earthquake. Oh my god.
It is an incredibly bulky mon, but it does cost Abe the 6-0 in the end there. Seriously.
Yeah, the Ruskin.
But
yeah.
And then at the end, there's nothing much that Sneasel can do to stop the conclusion.
Mew didn't even need to hit the field, which is really impressive. So I think Jock had like catch up at face value, but Clyde really knew what he needed to do, broke down his team, and just was able to pick up a win. Really a good start.
Yeah, and this is a fantastic start for him in the league for sure. Coming in off just a takeover. But what are the general thoughts on the game? Jock, from what I remember after the game, said that it was probably the worst he's ever played. I'd probably be inclined to agree with him. I think by comparison to his previous season's performances and knowing him as a player, I think this is probably one of the poorest showings he's ever produced.
One thing that I think could have changed the game a little bit, the first time he brought Celesteela in, he clicked Leech Seed instead of Toxic, and Rotom came in straight away. Because Rotom was able to just switch out of that Leech Seed, it didn't have that initial toxic damage it was taking every single turn, and if it had that on the first turn, it may have gone down a little bit quicker, which would have helped him deal with it. But yeah, I think I think he played relatively standard. His opponent sort of knew what he was going to be doing and played rather excellently around what he was doing.
Yeah, for sure. Any closing thoughts from you there, Mike?
No, nothing really. I just feel like Clyde played around the Celesteela really well.
For sure, definitely neutering that threat. So I think that brings an end to anything that I need to say on this game. Shall we move on to our second Blue Division game of the evening? Cool. So this game saw the London Garchomp taking on the Carolina Lycanrocs. The Carolina Lycanrocs last week coming off a pretty harsh loss in terms of hacks. And the London Garchomp on the opposite coming off a victory because of hacks. So two polar opposites for this week, which is moderately interesting. So I'll get the team preview on the screen now. So this is King's Reign 87 versus Matrix. Thoughts on the outset, or should we just jump in?
I mean, Matrix has decided to bring a Marowak against a team with a Tapu Bulu. Exactly. And Toxapex, fair enough. But, I mean, you have a Lottie, like a Z Weavile. I'm keen to see what he does with Marowak, but with Tapu Bulu there, I'm not sure he'll be doing too much. But, it's just a really, really nice looking matchup because Greninja just really can break down a lot of his team. Tapu Bulu destroys a lot of his team, and Greninja sort of beats the things that those two mons can't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even and Beedrill the same. It just
No, I absolutely agree.
His Beedrill switch in is Arcanine, of which he can defensively switch into Toxapex or offensively switch into Greninja or Stunfisk. So
yeah, off the back
really
of a
good
U-turn or even a hard switch to go defensively. I completely agree on those points. So shall we jump in then? Turn one, that Mega Beedrill lead versus the Arcanine lead. So here, as we said, defensively straight into Toxapex as he reveals agility. Probably a bit soon to be revealing that your Arcanine is a setup variant, especially when this that Toxapex just shrugs off the Gigavolt Havoc and then switches out to recover all its HP. I mean, he makes a great prediction that King is going to switch out and catches the Stunfisk with a crit Flare Blitz. So all credit.
Foul play on Dragon Dance. Jesus Christ.
Oh, I mean, this was a crazy play. The audience will just get to see it now. Foul play Stunfisk.
Those few turns were wild.
An absolute flying start, for sure.
If an Arcanine is setting up an agility in the face of Toxapex, Haze I don't think is the play. I would say.
Well, I mean, you get rid of the speed, but
I would have thought that going for a cover first turn to scout for the Z move won't be the correct play, but either way, quite well by the threat of Stunfisk.
Yeah, for sure.
He'd reveal later on that he had Water Shuriken, so he could have used that to revenge the Arcanine, if nothing else.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a potential.
As the Beedrill comes in and U-turns, Greninja just comes in and kills Arcanine.
Yeah, for sure. It is exactly as you said from the outset that the flow and the momentum that King's team picks up is nothing but trouble for Matrix to try and deal with. And his check to Beedrill is already down. I mean, in return for webs.
I'm surprised Steel Valley didn't have defog, because potentially these webs could be a bit of an issue with Marowak being in the back, but maybe.
It does click defog later on.
So it just didn't defog at the time. I suppose with the damage that he can still do with rocks, and the fact that his rock setter is now gone.
What turn are you on, Stephen?
I'm currently at turn 14. Just
Okay,
playing
you're
it through.
13. I'm just surprised why he didn't go for Seed Flare, because in the terrain, wouldn't Seed Flare do more to Tox effects?
Potentially. Yeah, that might
And it
actually
had the
be it.
chance to have the special defense drop, so that could have been nice as
And yeah,
well.
the next turn he does go for the Seed Flare and gets a crit on the Tapu Bulu.
Yep,
And I
sends
think
that
that's
thing.
actually a good play because he sacks the Tapu Bulu, meaning that this Shaman won't become a threat in future. Because, again, if you look at the rest of his team, I think Shaman can actually like one-shot everything with Seed Flare. So I'm very interested to run the calc on that Psychic versus Seed Flare thing.
Yeah, I might put it on screen afterwards if I can get the sets off both of them. But progressing now through to turn 19 and turn 20, there's where you see exactly what that Marowak can do, Bill.
Nice.
As it takes out the Toxapex with the Boomerang.
Oh, and it takes out the Greninja too.
Yeah, it picks up 2 kills.
Oh my lord.
I mean, it does crit, but I think Thick Club Marowak Thunder Punch is going to do that anyway.
Is this Weavile?
Hang on, I'm not up to the Weavile yet.
On the very last turn.
Oh,
second
the
last
dig,
turn.
the dig Weavile. Okay.
What was that?
So
Crash.
that seemed like suboptimal.
Yeah, for sure.
I think he threw the game at the end there.
I mean, I don't know if the Beedrill took at least one Icicle Crash, but you also have the chance to play for Flinch, which, in my...
95% minimum. I think I calced that.
Did you? Wow, okay. So, that's a game throw.
Even if that said, something that the Verd said a while ago when he was playing a game, it was a Zygarde versus a Charizard X on the last turn, and Charizard had like 40% off, and he was like, "Oh, do I go for the extreme speed?" He calcs critic extreme speed, doesn't kill. So even though he doesn't outspeed, he went for 1,000 arrows, and it turns out and because that's the game that can win you that's the move that can win you the game. Yeah. You think they'll outspeed or they might live. If you go with the move that always has the best chance of winning the game.
But the debate comes down to is Icicle Crash the best move for that, or is Dig the best move for that? Mike says he calced it, and the minimum he was doing was 95%, so I assume there was some sort of Oko chance on there. Plus then you have the 20% chance to flinch, which is more than a chance you get from a crit. I don't know, man.
Dig had a really good chance to kill, especially if it only did 65%. I feel like Icicle Crash would have done more.
Icicle Crash definitely did more. It was something like a 95% minimum.
Yeah,
Yeah, without an item.
Without an item.
The move to go for, I'd say.
So I definitely think Matrix unfortunately choked the game at the end there. I think that's a big shame, because after last week he really could have done with a win. And this as well, if you notice actually on the last turn, one final point is that the Weavile actually outspeeds the Beedrill.
Yeah.
Because King got a bit too creative with his speed creeping and crept a Weavile that was creeping something else. So the lesson learned is that don't mess about with your speed tiers too much unless you're dead sure your opponent is going to creep you. Because I think right at the end there, King got let off the hook massively.
Sure.
But yeah, I think that's the game. I think. Go ahead.
Did Greninja not have a better water stab, or what are the moves that it have? Because Water Shuriken can only hit twice and can only do like 50% to Marowak.
Yeah, I was surprised that he didn't
But his
reveal
best
Surf.
move.
Fair enough.
Surely having Surf would have been more optimal, or if not Hydro. Obviously, you don't want to miss.
Appreciate about the Marowak was the fact that it had Bone Meringue instead of Earthquake because of the terrain.
Yeah.
I think that was smart.
I mean, that's smart prep. I do sincerely think that's really
I
smart.
didn't
prep.
even think about that. That's awesome. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think I've got much more to say on the game unless you guys have any closing comments.
Could have gone a completely different way depending on what Matrix did. Thinking like Seed Flare on Shaman and going for the Icicle Crash. But I think from Matrix's, it looked really unfortunate for his entire team, and a lot of his team did die quite quickly, but he basically brought it back right at the end with that Marowak, so I'm pretty impressed with it, actually.
Yeah, definitely. He did say prior to the start of the season that he's used Marowak before and it's done really good stuff, and he wants to prove what it can do here. And so far he's actually made a good first impression with it, for sure.
He got 2 kills.
Yeah, and you can't fault him for that. So anyway, are we ready to crack on with our next game? So in this game here, we saw the ever-threatening team of the Virginia Escaviliers take on Relly, aka Austin, and his Edmonton Coilers. So, Bill, me and you have known Austin for a long time, I think.
Since season 2, back in the Scat days.
And it's just it just sets a precedent for the sets that are going to be brought for this match. So I'll put the game on screen for the viewers. So the lineups we see: Coco, Alomomola, Amoonguss, Blacephalon, Hawlucha, and Nidoqueen on the sides of the Escavaliers, and then on the Coilers side we've got the Stack Attacker, Volcarona, Mega Sableye, Hippowdon, Slurpuff, and Excadrill. So 2 very offensively threatening teams. You've got Tapu Lucha, which has been a recent favourite of pretty much everybody in the format, against the all-time classic that is Sandrush, potentially.
I think one thing is just having a quick look. Alomomola looks really solid. Austin doesn't have a great way to break it down.
No, he doesn't.
Potentially with Slurpuff getting up a belly jump, that if that happens, then he has a Moongus, which he has to pack Return for, because it doesn't get... I'm not sure if it gets Ice Punch, but I know it doesn't get... Actually, no, does it get Fire Punch?
I don't know which one it gets.
And then it doesn't get Psychic or Flying moves, so... it might be a bit difficult for him to break that, but potentially Belly Jump Slurpuff after Nido and our weekend, it looks pretty alright, but just the offensive core of Hawlucha and Coco with Blacephalon and Nidoqueen looked absolutely devastating.
Yeah, and as well, if he can get the opportunity to set up Volcarona as well with a Quiver Dance, that could be really beneficial to his chances of winning as well. So yeah, we'll just start the game here. We see the Nidoqueen matched up against the Mega Sableye, and right here we see typical Austin strats turn 1, Confuse Ray, Mega Sableye. Completely unsurprising in every way.
Oh, absolutely amazing. Oh, with a Calm Mind.
And Calm Mind, Confuse Ray.
Oh, that is an interesting. And Icy Wind.
So in the first 4 turns, Austin has revealed the full moveset of his Mega Sableye, which has turned out to be Calm Mind, Confuse Ray, Recover, and Icy Wind.
What does that mean?
Wind doesn't like anything.
It's classic Austin, isn't it?
Oh man, that's amazing.
It is just.
I like the idea that Austin saw like Alomomola was like, oh yeah, I have setup for it. I can set up on this, and then he was thinking of a move. He was just like, Yeah, that Holucha. I need to slow that thing down. T-Wave, no. We're gonna go Icy Wind.
Icy Wind. Get that solid, super effective chip. I'm at turn 10 now. I mean, Sableye takes 55 from that Dazzling Gleam, which is just wild. But he sets up Trick Room as well, which is really weird considering his team composition. He's got Sand Rush and Trick Room on the same team, and Quiver Dance Volk. It's so hard to make sense of anything that's going on in this game so far.
The Slurpuff could have been like Unburden or Sticky Webs.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really weird combination of mons. Turn 14 actually, the Escaviliers reveal some pretty decent tech with Smackdown Blacephalon to handle Volcarona. A big fan of that, especially if it gets out of hand with Quiver Dance boosts. I think that's really
I like
good.
that a lot.
Really good to bring.
I'm proud that Austin scouted that at least. That's good.
Yeah. I think it's. I mean, turn 19, you can see where it's starting to come apart for Austin as well. As Coco reveals the Bloom Doom and takes the Hippowdon out from full HP. He does Revenge.
With Coco's down, he doesn't have anything to hit his Sableye super effectively. Sableye's looking pretty spicy in this endgame.
And also, he also makes the mistake that his electric terrain runs out, so there's no unburden boost for Holucha, which makes Icy Wind that much more relevant in slowing it down.
Way to get taken confusion on the recover. That was really good.
What turn is that?
Hey, the Cephalon does like 32% with Fire Blast. Next turn, Sableye's on like 28%. He gets hit with confusion on the recover.
So it's just such a weird game to have to even review.
Beautiful. It's so beautiful. Also, the sub Swords Dance. And the missed Icy Wind. Austin. Oh no.
Austin's tech not able to pay off.
Lot is not able to take out Sableye. Oh, that is a meaty chunk with the Icy Wind.
Yeah, it does a lot, which, to be fair, I think it was a pretty heavily specially invested Sableye, but I mean, it just completely recovers all of its HP back on the...
Don't understand why he went into Stag Attacker when he could have just revenged with either of the other two.
Yeah, and the other two...
He saves with the Trick Room too, which just harms his Excadrill and Volcarona at that point.
Oh yeah, because now Alomomola just kind of 1v1s this Excadrill.
Gyro Ball instead of Stone Edge, which could have potentially done a lot more to Alomomola.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be broken by it though, because it's just so fat and Wish Protect and Leftovers, but it's definitely like more of a chance than Gyro Ball had. But from here you can just see the close out of the game as Mola's able to essentially just wish up, keep itself healthy, and then close out the game.
Literally the only chance here is a crit Earthquake.
And even then I don't think that'd KO, would it? Or it'd be a percentage chance. But yeah.
An unfortunate thing.
I mean, is it unfortunate? This is Austin.
This is true.
But I don't know, it's just always wild sets. I never know what to say about Austin's replays because the guy just brings the weirdest stuff.
Disappointed that we didn't get to see the full extent of some of the other sets, like Slurpuff, for example, didn't get to click a move. I'm sure he had something absolutely wild.
Yeah, the flames that Austin brings to a game.
Even his opponent at the end of the game was, what was the Slurpuff set?
My man wanted to know.
That's tech. That's speed,
Yeah, I don't think I've got anything more to say. Have you got any further input you want to put in on this, Mike?
I'm done.
Too wild. I'll take Mike's silence as he's got nothing further to say.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll I think we should just move on to the next game here. So next up we have the DC Castforms, coached by Lady Emma Sky, taking on the Vancouver Milotics, coached by TB. It's two heavily offensive teams, is what it is from the outset.
Yeah.
Both have drafted very offense heavy and have paid not a lot of mind to their defense. Obviously, Emma's picked up that Milotic, but I think as a whole, evaluating the drafts for their battle this week, not a great deal of variance in the playstyles that these guys could have brought. We do see the debut of that picked up Rotom Heat though.
Also, I think both people have a lot of offense with, the DC Castforms having Haxorus, Lopunny, Ninetales, and Lando, and then Zygarde, Cavalier, Mimikyu, and Dundee on the other side. Both also have pretty good defensive checks to most of the offense on the opposing side. For example, Rotom Heat can take on things like Cavalier, Mimikyu, and the Dundee, and the Milotic can take on basically the Cavalier, Zygarde, and Mimikyu, while on the other side, the Serena can beat things like the Haxorus, Lopunny, potentially Lando, and then Pylo can beat most things in between that. So they both got a lot of offense, but they both got pretty good defensive checks to what they've got.
Yeah.
I feel like TB doesn't have enough for the Mega Lopunny, I feel.
Yeah, for sure. He does seem to struggle with it a lot. But yeah, let's just get into these opening turns. Lead off of the Serena versus the Rotom Heat. He goes straight for that Will-O-Wisp, misses, and TB gets a free U-turn. Goes into Mimikyu.
I don't understand that first turn play at all, by the way. Just like, there's no fire resist on TV's team at all. Piloswine is thick enough, but that makes it a neutral. And then Zygarde, which does not want to switch into a Rotom Heat at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why Overheat wasn't the play, but yeah, and even Mimikyu coming in, getting a burn.
I mean, it's not particularly a bad play though, because if you look at TB's team, it's like it's all physical bar Thunderous, really. I mean, Mimikyu coming in and then just getting burnt on turn 2.
I feel like the Thunderous wasn't going to come in regardless against the Rotom, so I feel like the Will-O-Wisp was an okay play.
I agree. I do think that Overheat was generally the better play. Moving into turn 4, Landorus breaks the disguise and pivots into Milotic. And he's able to haze away the stats. So now at the minute this Mimikyu is kind of just sitting with minimal use. And there is a...
So I noticed that the Milotic outspeeds the Mimikyu.
Yeah, so I think it was an incredibly bulky variant of Mimikyu.
Gone like Mega Lopunny after a couple of boosts, I guess.
There is a strat that TB sort of highlighted after the game that never got showed off. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You just put in the biggest crunch into the middle of that, Bill. Oh dear. Oh well. Viewers will have to live with that one. But he ends up having to sack his Serena to the Milotic's Ice Beam. I don't know if he can actually do enough damage now to finish Milotic off from memory. But Emma's also able to just come in and absorb the following Supersonic Sky Strike, and this is where he can just start clicking Overheat now. This is the point you said he should have made from turn 1, but immediately he's able to take down the Cobalion. He's forced out on the Zydog, which reveals to be Dragon Dance.
Maybe going for Will-O-Wisp there could have been better play, but he's got Lopunny in the back, so even if so, fake out in. Oh, he goes for Lando, but
yeah, it did turn out that the Rotom Heat was Scarf, so he couldn't exactly switch up his moves.
I don't know if I agree with the Rock Polish on Lando when the opposing stat had a Pillow Swine.
Yeah, it seemed a bit early to try and set up, and I actually highlighted this in the comments. You know, Rock Polish versus the team that has Ice Shard hidden in the back isn't the play. And it just cost him a turn. Turn 15, we see the Veil going up, and he's now 3 mons down. TB's now 3 mons down.
Again, at this point, Lando just spams EQ. Rotom just spams, Overheat. Lopunny just spams High Jump Kick. So,
or Power Up Punch in this case is revealed on turn 18, and Drain Punch, which is actually a pretty good strat when he's behind the Aurora Veil, because as you can see, from turn 19 onwards, nothing's able to take the boosted Drain Punches, and Return's able to completely OHKO the Mimikyu. So it's a 5-0 blowout to the DC Castforms.
Really, sort of. DC Castforms, basically, Rotom Heat really destroyed all of TV's team, and I don't think TV brought the right mons to be able to switch into the Castforms team, because as shown with Rotom, with Lando, and with Lopunny, once they came in, they just picked up a kill.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was a massive case of misprep, because his main win con in the early game was that bulk up Mimikyu, and it was a Rest Talk variant, which is why he was so comfortable switching it in on the Willow in order to start setting up. The issue is that when you forget that Milotic commonly runs Haze to stop setup sweepers, you kind of end up shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
Had he been able to pull it off, yeah, would have been a great strat. But unfortunately, negligence towards common moves on big defensive mons is never a good thing when to try and improve your chances of winning a game. And this is a big loss to TB as well, after making some good ground in week 1. He's really lost a lot of ground in the blue division, in the blue division race so early. Whereas Emma, on the other hand, is now going from strength to strength. Week 1 took an important win versus Recon Jack and has picked up another pretty big win against TB here. I mean, I can't fault or complain, really.
DC Castforms play pretty well. Hopefully they can continue that momentum. And also, just going back to the trade thing, with potentially having Chandelure or Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat showing that you don't need to have the extra 40 base special attack to be able to just blow things back with fire moves. So
yeah, for sure.
Stuff.
But yeah, I think that's it for this game. Shall we shuffle along? So I think we've still got 2 more games. So this is the penultimate game of Blue Division for this week, and it sees the Carioka Krooks taking on the UNC Wingulls. So El Birabon versus Johnson. Birabon out to pick up a win after a pretty disappointing loss in his opening week. and Johnson wanting to continue his form after a narrow win. So somebody here is either going winless, or they are going with another loss. Sorry, one of them already has a win. Never mind. Completely confusing my own words here. So I will put the battle up on screen for the viewers now. So, any thoughts on opening matchup from either of you two?
Well, the team in the Cosmo.
So that's Johnson.
Johnson's team, basically, almost everyone on the other team looks pretty much checked, or be able to be checked. Like this weekend, he's got the Tentacle for the Cream Puff Boy. He's got Cosmo Fundy and Zygarde. For Tornadus, he's got the Electric Zappy Boy. He's got the Cosmo. He's got Zygarde. For Breloom, he's got Whimsicott, and he's got Zygarde and the Zappy Boy. For Jirachi, he's got Whimsicott, Necrozma, Zygarde, Tentacle, and then for Crocodile, he's got Whimsicott and things like the Zappy Boy. So I think Johnson has a pretty good matchup, just at face value.
Fair enough. What about you, Mike? Any thoughts on it? Or
I mean, if I have to say anything, then both of these teams look ridiculous when just looking at some of the other drafts, just having these 12 Mons together, I feel.
12 powerhouses. So yeah, we'll just jump into the opening turns. Jirachi in against the Necrozma. Doesn't Elbirabon not wanting to stay in, as Johnson reveals Rock Polish. Now this is a habit that I'm noticing. People are intent on revealing their setup tech way before they can make use of it, and I've never ever understood it.
Yeah, because it was the Agility Arcanine and then bulk up Mimikyu and something else.
Yeah, Rock Polish Necrozma, especially when you're setting up speed early game. You should never set up speed early game because you don't know what kind of offenses your opponent has. You need to run sort of the SD, break through the team, then later on you can come back and click the Rock Polish.
Yeah, especially if you don't do anything in the following turns anyway. Like, Johnson immediately has revealed that he's a Rock Polish variant and then switched out and just given free information. Moving ahead, we see Icy Wing tech from the Suicune. It's pretty neat. Breloom revealed as the Toxic Heal variant as well. That was for sure an interesting bring, I think. Not that did he particularly need Technician in this matchup?
Might help for Facade with Whimsicott.
Yeah, that could be it. Turn 6, the rocks go up, and it just feels like all the momentum has gone to Birabon in these opening turns.
I can agree with that. Because, yeah, the rocks are up, he knows a lot of the sets, and he's got Regenerator Boys. And even just, like, bringing in Crocodile on the predicted,
on the predicted rapid spin, yeah. I was just about to highlight that, yeah.
And then the Sludge Bomb on the Whimsicott with, I assume that's a Salt.
I love this Crocodile set.
So the Earthquake.
And then again, the Rock Polish, like, there's no need. He's still got a very offensive team. Why? I don't understand Rock Polish on that play. And it comes in again, he just swaps out.
Yeah. Let me just skip to that bit. I
and
do want.
Berry Bot goes for Carmine, which I don't agree with. With all the hazing going on already.
Yeah. The one set I did want to bring attention to was that Sludge Bomb Krook. Mike, I think you had. Did you want to bring it up? You said you really liked that set.
Yeah, no, I just feel like bringing Assault Vest Sludge Bomb was just really interesting, and I feel like the Krook overall just did a lot of good work.
Yeah, for sure. Sludge Bomb, definitely a great play to lure in and catch the Whimsicott off guard. So I'm just at where the Suicune settled Carmine and got hazed out. Bit of an unfortunate crit there from the Surf with the Tentacruel, but nothing that seems to have particularly knocked Birabon off his stride.
Bad.
He's just able to reset the rocks continually.
And the Jirachi... again.
The Ordino.
Yeah, Johnson's team just not doing anything. Sludge Bomb was a good play. You'd stay in, I guess, regular, but getting off the Wish means you basically take the Sludge Bomb anyway.
Yeah, and
Goes up.
this Ordino as well is just able to eat hits continually. And there's just nothing.
For a Sludge Wave there on when he went for the Thunderbolt. He should have gone for a Sludge Wave on the chance of getting a poison, so you could take it out.
Yeah, for sure. Just want to talk about this play here at
Oh my God,
turn.
Rock Polish again.
Just talking about the plays leading up to that, turn 23. Birabon actually makes a really solid prediction to bring in the Crocodile and catch it. He rock polishes up, and I know some of the tech here. I'll talk about it at the end. But there was a reason for that rock polish, and I can understand why he went for that one. But again, with Suicune revealing Roar, it just felt like a really redundant move.
One thing is, if he's going for Roar regardless, you don't have switch momentum, just attack.
Yeah.
If you're sure he's going to go for Roar, because he's gone for Roar the last 2 times. You may as well try and hit him with something. He hasn't taken a hit outside of... Yeah, he hasn't taken any moves outside of Tentacle. So I'm pretty sure Johnson doesn't have any idea what kind of set it is. So...
Yeah. A really solid play from Johnson's end here. It was around turn 28. So we get the Tentacruel in on the Krook. Krook takes it out with an EQ. Johnson goes into Zygarde and then immediately makes a pretty brave double into Thundurus Therian. Pretty confident he could catch the Thundurus on the Switch. Sorry, on the Suicune on the Switch with Thundurus. So he is actively trying to bring back some momentum, but Birabon again just shows no fear and allows it to U-turn and hits the Necrozma with an Icy Wind.
And then Necrozma gets burnt off the skull a couple turns later.
Yeah, it does get burned, yeah. And here he reveals Iron Defense now, so this is where you can start seeing, and then this is where he eventually reveals the tech, that it is a stored power variant. Rock Polish stored power isn't really what I'd call the optimal set for this, but
yeah, especially with the Jirachi there.
And you can see the problems he was just having setting up, being roared out. Actually, for one moment, I will just interrupt because our final co-host has finally appeared. Lord Zeden, how are you this evening?
I'm fine.
Sorry to interrupt the game.
What game are you doing?
So currently we are up to El Birabon versus Johnson.
Alright.
I think we're just about to finish up, but you can jump in on pretty much the final Blue Division game and all the Yellow Division game action afterwards. So you've got plenty to get your teeth into. Sub DD Zygarde here, turn 37. I think it's actually a decent bring. It's just not good enough to beat the sub Focus Punch variant of Breloom. I think that's really neat tech on Birabon's part. He's just able to keep breaking the subs and stopping the Zygarde doing anything by utilizing Focus Punch really well. And the damage it does is really solid to the Zygarde as well when Johnson opts to go with 1,000 arrows to break the sub instead of subbing up again himself. Turn 41 as well. Don't really understand this play. Turn 41. Birabon goes for the focus punch on the attack, the extreme speed. But then immediately after goes for it again, and Johnson misplays and sets up another Dragon Dance and loses it. So just like a weird, really weird combination of plays there. That
I think if he just attacked again, because potentially if that Breloom died, it could do a pretty alright choke to the rest of the team.
yeah,
Because like Suicune was quite weakened. I was at 26%. Ordina was weakened. Tornadus, if you had like Stone Edge or Outrage at +1, did a lot. You know, Crocodile had Intimidate, but it showed to potentially not have Ice Fang, and Jirachi is a Jirachi, so huge misplay, I think, by going for the second DD there.
yeah. And right here, Johnson is able to salvage the the 6-0 by sludge waving the Breloom. Seemed a bit of an unnecessary play to commit to sack the Breloom. That could be that's one easy point of differential. But I think maybe out of respect, maybe out of safety, he didn't want to give nasty plot Thunderous the potential.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit weird to see the contrast, because week 1 I felt Johnson played okay, but this week he just wasn't able to get into the game. I mean, full credit to Birabon, his prep, his play was as optimal as it needed to be. He definitely recovered very well from the loss he took in week 1. So yeah, I think that's my closing statement for that game.
Everyone played really, really well this game, for sure. And then, yeah, and it has an amazing team too, so hopefully it continues to do really well in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just wondering, is Mike alive?
Yeah, he is. He's.
Oh yeah.
Don't highlight the fact that he's not talking as much. He just contributes when he
Oh, that will do.
when he
Mike,
feels he's got
yeah.
something. Just putting pressure on the man. Right, okay, and our final game for the Blue Division this week saw the Manchester Mareep, coached by Fitzblitz, taking on the Pittsburgh Rosenthorn, coached by Recon Jack.
As I opened the tab of this game, and I didn't realize that David was in this division. I just look at the team like, dude, this is a David team right here.
Yeah, this is we've said this in
It
the
is David.
we've said this in the opening weeks. But yeah, this is like after last season, where I think everybody felt that Recon Jack had taken a pretty uncomfortable team and suffered for it. This is him going back to the team he knows the best.
It looks like a combination of his Red Season 3 team and his RBL Season 5 team, with the Manaphy and of course Mamoswine and Infernape and Lardian and Skuntank. Like, oof.
Yeah, it's definitely really powerful. Fitzblitz, by contrast, I don't know, doesn't look like an exceptionally strong team to me. Feels very defensive.
There's a switch
Yeah.
in. It's
Their
like
team is lacking.
Mamoswine or Infernape or Lardy or Skuntank. Switch into Skuntank. Can't switch into
Well,
Raichu. Maybe
You can barely
Raichu.
switch into Skuntank even. Like Blastoise, I guess.
And like
But
Lander,
still,
and then
Blastoise confused.
He doesn't have any.
he doesn't
He doesn't have any
do
offense.
anything, but has a lot of. He has no. Okay, Blitzblitz has a lot of bulk, but nothing that can switch into anything.
Yeah, it
And
seems
no
that way.
offense.
So jumping in, turn 1 of the game, we see the Mega Blastoise. Oh, sorry, it's a regular Blastoise actually. My bad. Sorry. The Blastoise versus the Latios, and we see fake out Blastoise tech.
Tech.
I mean, it's tech. Is it good tech? I don't know.
Turn 1, his wall takes 50% and doesn't have reliable recovery.
I mean,
Dragon Build Tech.
it does.
Now he
It,
actually has nothing for the Skuntank.
yeah,
He's up.
and he's just
I
able.
wonder if he's mixed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm progressing the game, so you guys just tell me. I'm currently at turn 4 now.
He's got raw Bramble and raw Blastoise, but that doesn't constitute for bulk. He's got like 5 wall breakers in his team. Roaring them out doesn't do anything.
And the phasing isn't doing much for him because he actually doesn't have rocks up or anything.
Yeah, he doesn't have hazards up and he's just losing momentum, especially for a player like David who can't pull that.
Especially,
he just loses the Intimidate drop.
Yeah. Skuntank takes out the Blastoise, picking one up. Revenged by the Volcanion. And the Volcanion, you know, doing a bit of good work, but just gets completely blown away by a Draco from Latios.
And then on that turn he gets the Toxic. He's playing very passively, and then look at this, Raichu just comes in, it doesn't have nasty play, exactly. I don't know what David's doing, but like, you don't have much at all. Focus Blast, there you go.
The nasty plot versus the Electros, yeah.
I mean, it's a nice way to deal damage versus...
It's good chip versus an annoying mon for his
I don't
team.
know why it stays in though. I mean,
but again,
it's another focus blast off.
But it's one of those ones that, again, it takes like 50% and doesn't have recovery.
Yeah.
True.
Thunderwave to cripple the Infernape, turn 16,
but it just dies a couple turns later.
Yep.
Yeah, and then Mamoswine just kind of wins.
Yeah, Mamoswine's able to take the game. It comes in on the what's this thing called?
Lando.
No, not the Lando. The bird,
Zatu.
the totem bird, Zatu. And actually, like, I don't know if that was a roll, but that Landorus was able to chew the ice shard.
I don't think the Mamo was life orb. What was it instead? Because like,
I don't know.
Because like late game, when it's just Zatu and Lando, if you're just like expert build or life orb, just lock yourself into an ice move.
Oh. Especially considering his resistance was Blastoise and that went down like turn 10. Oh yeah, Volcanion's there.
Yeah, that game was just a straight up body bag for David. Like,
yeah, it's the exact team that David would love to face on a weekly basis. Just teams that don't pressure his offense well enough.
A big thing that I think is he had about 4 months that I assume were to be bulky. None of them had recovery unless Zatu had like Roost, and against a team and he had a lot of phasing against a team that runs things like just Life Orb or Band, Infernape and Mamswine, which is quick moves. They don't need a setup. The only thing that really sets up on his team is like Lardy or Manaphy, which David does do a lot, but like you don't need to spend that much time phasing when your Blastoise can't really touch, you know, Manaphy at all, or Lardy, or fucking Infernape.
Yeah.
I feel like Fitz's team just didn't really make much sense overall. Like, it was super passive and then recovery and then still didn't wall really anything, and then the phasing didn't make any sense because there was no...
Yeah, there was just nothing going on with it.
I would have really liked to see Fitz use some speed control, like a more Thunder Wave and Tailwind to slow down David's breath, so he could maybe win with Lando Eye of Arcania in late games.
Yeah, I mean, he did seem to have like the beginnings of that to bring that with Thunderwave Electros, but by that point it was just like too little too late, I think. The damage had already been done, his walls had already been stripped away. There was just nothing much to be done.
Also, Fake Out is such a bad move on Blastoise.
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was for at all. But
like 10% its shift on Aleti isn't worth a move slot.
I don't know. Seemed a very questionable team to bring. And as a result, a really quick game where Recon Jack was just able to dominate and take what I'd call an easy win, I think.
Also, may I quickly say, I do like that he picked up the final kill with Raichu as the last time I played David was in RBL, and I used Raichu versus him, and it got like 3 kills, so what's up?
Fair enough. Alright, I think that concludes all of our Blue Division matches for this week. And now we can move on to the Yellow Division. A quick note is that the game that we were supposed to be covering first from Yellow Division is currently on extension. That is the Lowell Spinders versus the LA Lopunnies, the One Lonely Cow versus JH Tech 03. That'll be delayed as Jaime has some other obligations to take care of that must be above league priority, I'm afraid. But regardless, we get to move on to our second scheduled match, which is myself versus Perp Derpy. So I'll put that game on screen.
To your YouTube video.
Oh yeah. I'll plug myself in the description if you want to see sort of my commentary of it live. Well, not live. I had to do a post-con, but my sort of thoughts on it. But this week I felt like it was a really awkward matchup.
You even just see that in both matchups.
Kyurem Black forces so many weird 50-50s. I was just not crazy about this game in any way.
It seems rather even to me because like he doesn't answer the Tyrantrum very well defensively.
No,
because
he doesn't answer rock spam well at all, which is something that I picked up on in prep.
Yeah, but you don't really have a Kyurem. Oh, you do have a decent matchup versus Kyurem, I think.
I have two Kyurem switch-ins. I just have to make every 50-50 to scout the set. And if I make a mistake and he takes one out, it's really bad.
Well, it kind of depends on the Kyurem set because some Kyurems can't really do a KO or Jirachi, to be fair.
Yeah. Right. So we ready to jump into the game?
Yeah,
For sure.
So turn one. Rotamo versus the Scissor. Now, my man stayed in here, and I was faster and Volt Switched, but I was packing HP Fire and could have easily killed this because I was Specs Rotom.
I don't think that's ever worth it because he could also get the thing Will-O-Wisp.
Yeah, it seemed a bit weird for him to stay in.
Very lame. Yeah, it's bad. Expecting
Yo, turn to Showdown of the Stank the Tanks.
Yeah, Stank the Tank, the epic meme. But his Stank didn't have what it takes to stand in the ring with my Stank. So his Stank walked away, and he brought in the Florges, which was great because it was free rocks.
The better the Stank, the better the chance of winning.
Yeah.
HP water for your camel. Doesn't seem to have HP water for your camel.
I mean, turn 5, HP water wasn't really going to make that much of a difference.
No.
If you see the tech I decided to bring.
That's straight up power.
Sunny Day Camel.
Like flower beds.
Sunny Day Camel tore holes from the calcs, and it also allowed me to scout what sort of investment his Florges would have, because I knew that either Alomomola would have been his way to handle Camerupt, or it would have been like a very heavily Spadef invested Florges. I didn't expect CM variant, but there you go.
Yeah, to me, Wish looks very alright if you have a Kyurem and Thorn. That's whatever third body would want to do.
And actually, doesn't he get bonus recovery in synthesis because of the sunlight?
It gets,
he does.
It says like
It does in there.
I didn't expect the CM synthesis variant. I did expect a more Wish variant, but anyway, I'm moving on here. I'm currently at turn 10. Aloma Momola was just a big problem.
yeah, 'cause, like again, it's one of those things where it can beat most of the things on a team. Like it looks like Lando, unless it's like super offensive, Jirachi and Camel can all be walled by Alomomola, and with your only super check being the Rotom, which can be checked by Florges, things like even Sizzle if he's feeling ballsy, and Kyurem looks really
It was
scary.
it was a problem in prep. turn 12, I make a bit of a misplay. I don't know why, given that he was like so low on HP. But I decide not to attack with Jirachi. I make an aggressive double into Rotom, thinking that he'd go to Alomomola and try and pass a Wish back into Florges the next time. So I tried to catch it out, but it's not really a play that worked out for me. On the next turn, I do trick it a Specs though, which means it can't Calm Mind or Synthesis that well anymore. So that was a bonus out of the turn.
I mean, it can, but he doesn't gain a lot of momentum.
No, he loses all momentum with it. And I am able to get my Camerupt back in, reset the Sunny Day, and take out Scizor with it. And Camerupt's picked up a kill now, so...
I feel like stacking up the Scizor was pretty big, because then the rocks, if you set them back up, then he doesn't have a way to remove them, and I think that's pretty big.
Yeah.
I would have really...
Huge for Hero was.
I would have really liked Defog on Florges instead, maybe even Thorn.
Yeah. I was more expecting Defog, to be honest. Florges, it was surprising to me as well at the time, for sure.
The Sork on turn 17, I believe it is.
Now this was like really frustrating, because this took me into like a split decision, because I needed to scout his set, and I had like 3 potential options to sort of go into or to do. I either sack Camel or leave it in on the threat of an overprediction. I go to Lando if he wants to make the aggressive Poison Jab, or I go to Clef if he wants to make the aggressive Ice Punch. Because those are the coverage moves I figured he'd be wanting to run alongside Close Combat for Stab, and then EQ for Jirachi. So, and then at turn 17, he just makes the really hyper-aggressive prediction and catches my Lando, which annoys me to no end, because I've yet to be able to effectively use Lando here, and it annoys me.
Yeah.
But from the damage that he does, that's unboosted damage, because any sort of boosted Sork would have KO'd this Landorus. So I'm pretty confident. Well, I knew at this point that he was Scarf, because there's no Sork variant that runs that runs like a non-boosting item that isn't Choice Scarf. And he doesn't make any aggressive switches after that on turn 18, so I'm able to get my rocks back up, which I needed, I think, for Kyurem and for Tornadus, really. I'm moving along now. I'm at turn 21. I've got nothing more to say on those.
Alright.
Jirachi putting in work as well. Spadefrachi, always a solid mon.
He doesn't really have a tongue for Rachi anymore.
Yeah,
Or
losing Scissor's pivoting ability was really big.
I really don't know what...
He makes a good play on turn 24 and doubles his Kyurem into the Rotom. Like, full credit to him, that was a really solid double on his end. Put me in the wrong position. And then he gets another 50-50 correct in going for Earth Power, when I could have also gone Clef once I'd seen...
Yeah, but Rachi takes it. The hit,
Rachi eats the hit. It didn't seem like it was maximum investment. It was like really low. It was either that or a really low roll. I'm just repeating what I did in my own analysis. If anybody else has anything to say, please speak up.
I mean, the plays kind of speak for themselves here, to be honest. Like,
yeah, I'm at turn 29 now.
Alright.
I catch the Tyrantrum with a Toxic because I'm pretty confident that I've telegraphed Scarf Tyrantrum purposely, so I just decided to click Toxic to try and catch this Alomomola, and it worked.
I do like the refresh.
That is a bastard move that was added to this generation. That is actually the worst thing they gave to any Pokemon in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The fact that they gave Aloma Momola the ability to remove status. Absolute cancer
This is
choice.
not Heal Bell, you know.
It doesn't have... Well, yeah, I suppose. Better than giving it the entire team. Turn 32. I do manage to take the Aloma Momola out finally.
I think this was the big turning point.
Yeah, it was a hugely pivotal point in the game, because if I had just played safe and gone for the Volt Switch, he probably would have got a Wish Up, which just healed him, or the Cure him, which would have put me in a pretty annoying spot again. So I just decided to take the risk that he might either hard Thorn or hard Cure him, and just went for the Leaf Storm, and it worked. Mainly because I knew that I was no longer Specs, so Volt Switch wasn't going to be able to do anywhere near the amount of damage that I needed it to anymore. So yeah, I just decided to take the risk, and I got it. He does bring Kyurem Black in straight away to revenge. In hindsight,
Yeah, but
shouldn't have let this go down, but I was wanting to play safe.
yeah, to be fair, after you lose all of Momola, you really lose the glue to this team, whereas you have most of your glue still alive, so
Yeah.
you're looking very advantageous here.
Jirachi and Clefable, both of my glues are still intact, whereas he's one of his other glue in Florges is crippled, and his Aloma Mola and Scissor are both dead.
Now he actually does not have any switch-ins to head smash.
No, he doesn't. Yeah, that's correct. Well, he can always just pray that I miss, which I of course did against the Sork earlier. Turn 37, he reveals the hidden power water that Bill said he didn't have.
Bill says OP.
Well, no, I should have expected it, and I risked my camera up unnecessarily there. It's just dropping stupid differential points by that point. Sorry, that's a spoiler.
Even winning differential barely matters.
Yeah, all that matters is the W's. But from turn 40 onwards, moving forward, it's just the Jirachi show really.
I feel like these first 2 weeks you've let the Jirachi carry your team a lot of the time.
I mean, true to an extent. It was never really meant to.
It was week 1. It was the crit on the Rachi that basically decided
lost
the game.
Lost the game. Mainly because it puts in so much good work versus the two heavily specially offensive wall breakers that I had to face up to. And the utility it has from Wish Pass is huge. But yeah, I don't disagree that it's been a huge carry for me in the past 2 weeks.
Nice round 2 pick.
Yeah, a fantastic round 2 pick. I mean, the reflects as well that this Jirachi was able to pull were huge. Turn 48, it just gives me the win essentially at this point, because Sork couldn't KO me after Reflect went up with Earthquake.
Very much. And that's nice for your dev, basically.
Yeah.
I don't really see the point in the poison jab at the end, because a Clefable would have lived a poison jab anyway.
From 44%, it wouldn't
Probably
have lived
hoping
2,
for a crit.
so it couldn't have
I
healed.
mean, I guess.
Oh, behind
But then the Jirachi would just come back in and...
Yeah, I mean, I can understand. You knew he'd lost and he was just making an over-aggressive play, but yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything further to say on that game. It was fairly standard. I'm happy with the win.
Yeah, it was a fairly standard game. Very much Jirachi carried, and was your glue, well, Alamamola was his glue, and he low-key sacked his Alamamola, so that kind of meant he just lost.
Yeah.
That's how the game went for me, at least.
Okay, moving swiftly on. We're getting close to that 2-hour warning limit.
Oh god.
We have the CLE Legends taking on the Royal Tiger Ninjas. Both of these guys took pretty iffy losses in the opening week. So I think both were eager to prove themselves. Any thoughts from anyone on opening, or should we just jump straight in?
I mean, I think both teams look kind of strange in general.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Aside from that, I don't really got a ton to say. Like, I think it's a relatively even match because both teams just look so strange.
Swap into Hitmontop actually kind of works because of his only switch to Weavile is actually.
Yeah. From this though, I do think that Nathan has a bit of a better matchup because Weavile plus the Cario, I think, puts in a ton of work offensively.
Yeah.
But on the other side, Chomp does a lot of work offensively as well. However, that gets checked by the Latios and other wing Weavile.
Yeah. Good threats on both ends that require removing in order to win.
Yeah, but I think that Nathan really has a better matchup advantage here because the Cario can break the only fighting resist Zafar has in Slowking.
Yeah, I think so.
That just win.
Right, so jumping in, opening turns. Is Bill died?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was just stretching.
All right,
So-
no problem. That's fine. I was just checking if you needed to.
Oh no, not for a bit. It looks really good enough. They're breaking the sub with Garchomp, which only gets up rocks, which is odd. He's just able to toxic Tango, and it's looking in a good position.
I think the cards himself was a little weird. Some rocks? What?
That
Yeah.
didn't really make sense.
It just feels like these opening turns that Nathan's webs put him in the driver's seat almost immediately.
Yeah.
He's just able to get toxic off on Hitmontop on
And there's no
Tango.
spin
and-
until
Until the spin happens, and he can just go for webs again because there's nothing stopping him from doing that.
yeah.
And as he swaps out, meaning that if he does come back in, he's just going to have to take more toxic damage, more liquidation thing. And this is why I don't like him on top, because it's super passive. It couldn't do anything to Araquanid besides putting up a toxic.
Yeah, completely agree on that.
And you said that's the correct use. You set up an SD to try and break, not the rock polish. So already I think Nathan's looking super good in this game.
Yeah.
If Nathan was dual then, wouldn't he look have 1 year?
Maybe.
With weakness policy, I mean.
Depends on his coverage for Slowking, but then he's just revealed knockoff, which 2-hit KOs anyway.
Really good play on his part, predicting the swap out, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though it was pretty neutral play regardless.
He's able to take out the Mega
Tyranitar.
Tyranitar.
Gone.
Yeah.
The
Just-
break that is the need.
Then him on top comes.
Quick break was pretty obvious though.
Yeah.
He's able to take out the Necrozma with Mach Punch, but the damage is done. That's a
That's
big
good.
wall gone and a big attacking threat gone.
Yeah, Nathan is immediately just in a very high.
Tangrowth dropped because it was at 1%.
It wasn't
looks like
Regenerator on the tank growth.
It wasn't
It looks
Regenerator.
like he's just in.
Oh no, it wasn't. Why wasn't was that
No.
misprep? Why wasn't the Tangrowth
It was.
Regenerator? Wait, was the Tangrowth Regenerator? I'm confused
It
now.
wasn't.
It came in at
Came
1%.
1%.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Why was it that? Why was it? Oh.
Misprep. That's
Yeah.
all I can say.
And then Ladi comes in and wins, or Nidoqueen, I guess.
Or anything really.
Yeah.
And this game just wins. So the webs really just super dominating in this game. Hitmontop not being able to handle Araquanid's webs. And even just from the start, he didn't have a switch into Araquanid. He didn't have something that could kill it. Especially because Garchomp didn't look to have Rock Slide. Tangrowth didn't have Rock Slide. His Heatran didn't want to swap in. Even Tyranitar didn't come in at any point because he couldn't risk swapping in on the liquidation and just dying. So Nathan, I
Yeah.
think, had a really good plan. He used Necrozma well, not just setting up speed, getting the Sword Dance up and breaking through the team, getting webs up, preventing him from getting rid of him, and just winning with that. Really good playing on Nathan's part. I think he could have even gotten a 5-0 at that point if he swapped in like potentially Lardy instead of the Lucario, but still super good game.
The million miles an hour analysis with Bill Standish. But yeah, I think you've covered every point exceptionally there, Bill. Just a dominant performance from Nathan. Don't think there's much else to say.
Did Cypher have any other removal than Hypnotop? Because like,
don't know.
He just got them all just because of webs.
I think it's pretty reliable versus him. Yeah, shall we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Right, here we have the big one, or the tough one to get through. We have the New Orleans Pinsirs, coached by Jay, taking on the Kansas City Cubones, coached by Alex. Putting the matchup on screen.
Just off the bat as well. What looks like an Alex team with the Lardy, with the Mamoswine, and even Mimikyu and Rotom.
Yeah, so it's a comfort team, fully.
And he has the best one in the game, Yameka.
That thing is...
Did Alex win last season? Who won last season? Was that Zappy?
Zappy won, yeah. Alex went to playoffs, though. Okay,
well... I mean, I still firmly believe he shouldn't have won season 1 because of not because of me. Like I wouldn't have won, but the guy that went undefeated the entire season when playoffs started was like, yeah, sorry mates, I've got my my exams. I had to drop out in the very last week.
Don't be him.
Don't be a Bill.
Right, okay, let's just jump straight into this matchup, I think, would be the best. Mike's horse versus the Slurpuff. Any insight as to why it's called Mike's horse, Mike? Why is
idea.
Why is it your horse? Webb's game again, turn 2. And he trades them for spikes.
Red Hearts Slurpuff though.
Oh yeah, it's pretty decent tech.
Nice Alex stuff.
Jay's removal is heavily weakened and his hazard setter is already heavily weakened within the opening turns. It's probably not ideal for him. I'm not quite sure why he just risks the Mimikyu getting burnt this early on.
I mean, maybe he thought it would be able to kill if it was potentially a quite Spadef Pythagoras, which he may have got from the Slurper.
Maybe.
Yeah, but generally cutbacks aren't that defensive.
Oh, and
Mega
yeah.
Deep is for Toxic. That's a good play on Alex's part going for Thorn on the Kinger.
I mean, I guess if you're predicting... I guess that he was predicting the Mimikyu to swap out. Because it is Silvally Steel. So yeah. I think that's solid to have cleared that threat out like that, for sure. I'm at turn 10 at the minute. Are you guys ahead or behind?
And an interesting happened when earlier Pythagoras took away Disguise and then it was able to activate when it was on like 20%. That's pretty interesting.
That's Alex playing it well. He knew that Disguise was down so that he'd have to switch out. And actually quite brave of him to risk in front of the Steel Silvally, because if that thing had clicked multi-attack, then it would have KO'd.
I mean, Alex got some balls.
Yeah, he does make the brave plays. And this Yam Mega here at turn 14 does not care about anything. Tinted Lens is a busted move. Is a busted ability. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually crazy.
You take it out, the Yan Mega is just looking super solid.
And that outrage from a Zygarde did under 50%. Just the damage that this thing is able to do is wild.
Yeah, Mega showing who's a better threat than Zygarde.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It does go down on turn 18 though, due to misprep on Alex's part. He didn't EV it wrong. He EV'd it incorrectly so that it didn't outspeed Lop after the webs drop. So unfortunately he does lose it. Because that would have probably ended the game right there, if that was the case.
If only he could have ended so early.
Yeah. So right here we hit the point where, or I think we're about to hit the point where the game gets very slow, and I'm not willing to make everybody sit here to 2 hours just to record this final bit. So we'll do a TLDR for this upcoming part. So starting at turn 23, the Umbreon comes in. Now the story is that this becomes a Star War. Because Alex can no longer break it because he has he doesn't have Yam Mega anymore, which is his primary way of breaking down the Umbreon, and none of the current mons that are left alive are able to break it down. But Jay can't end the game either because he doesn't have any way to properly damage the Pokemon passively. He's Heal Bell and not Toxic. So what ensues is just a Star War.
Yeah, but Alex is in the advantage because he has more mons.
Yeah, Alex. Well, TLDR, Alex wins the stall out. So, a neat tech actually that I want to highlight is the Rocky Helmet Latias he brought. Just a thumbs up there. That's a pretty decent.
I feel like overall Alex's prep was really good.
Really, really solid, and there was nothing that Jay could do against the Web's gimmick.
Excluding the prep with the Mega Speed.
Yeah.
From that, yes.
But yeah.
I also say 69, so no.
Nice. Right. Oh yeah, I finished on 1060. Nice. Right. Okay. But yeah, there's nothing really much to say about the game post turn like 42. So, unless anybody has some closing thoughts. Then we move on to Yellow Division's penultimate game.
I think at this point I'm gonna have to skip out the last 2 games.
Oh yeah, it's 10 o'clock.
Thank you for having me.
Oh no, thank you very much for joining us. I understand it was very early. But yeah, thank you very much.
Love you too. Alright.
Peace.
Have a great day. Enjoy it.
Cool. Alright, so unfortunately Bill's had to leave the cast, but we'll close out the last 2 games without him.
Sure, dude.
Right, the Heracross Almelo versus the PEC Buzzwole. Reigning champion Zappy versus new Yellow Division entry Showen.
Actually, it's called Almelo.
Oh, I don't care. It's too much. It's too much of an effort to pronounce these foreign names. You will be happy with what I give you.
Well, Heracross Almelo has a pretty alright matchup, but I think Zappy, just from Team Match alone here, looks pretty freaking alright, because what does Showen have for Gallade and Celesteela, aside from the Zod?
Exactly.
I just like how Zappy, well, he has 2 big offensive threats, I feel, to Showen's team, whereas Showen only has Coco versus a team with Donphan and even Dragalge to some extent.
Yeah, for sure. Alright, so shall we jump straight in?
Sure.
So, Dragalge versus Coco. Not a good matchup.
Nope, never.
And he makes the ball play immediately to Shadow Ball.
Easy.
Again, really solid for him. Letting the Bronzong get chipped by Leech Seed. He's able to force the team away. Start just chipping away continually.
He doesn't really have... Well, he has Sword Axe and a Coco versus a Celesteela, but it's just such a bust of mana that I can Leech Seed basically anything and chip everything. I love Celesteela.
High horsepower brought on the Donphan to avoid Tapu Bulo's grassy terrain. Another good prep around that, I think.
Yeah. Showen Voodoo really is a bad mod.
Absolutely. King isn't here to defend it, so I will have my way.
Only worth it for 40 bucks.
It's a very standard game up until here. Well, even going through here, nobody's making any unnecessary risks or bold plays.
Yeah.
Turn 12, the Celesteela absolutely chews that Fire Blast. It doesn't care about it at all. Showen's being forced around a lot, and as such he's getting caught with a lot of Toxics, a lot of Leech Seeds.
Yeah, it's kind of basic Celesteela stuff.
Setting up the Calm Mind here. I mean, he does reveal Twinkle Tackle, which is able to take out the Donphan.
Killed the Donphan.
But again, immediately forced out by Dragalge.
Yep.
Zappy making the Shadow Ball prediction again. And he's then able to take out Bronzong.
Yeah, I felt like that Shadow Ball prediction might have been a bit unnecessary. Like, Dragalge outspeeds Bronzong, right? Or at least with a bit of speed investment.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean, it
not
did
sure
in this
now.
case as well, but I suppose Zappy didn't want to risk taking the EQ.
Yeah, like, makes sense, but I feel like it might have been a bit of an over prediction, honestly.
Yeah, but it worked out
I mean,
for
he
him.
didn't
so
have
you
anything
can't-
for the Tapu Koko anymore except for the Dragalge.
Yeah, like if Showen really had big balls and chose to do Dazzling Doom there, then Tapu Koko might have been a big threat.
Potentially, yeah. But it worked out, so...
Yeah.
Turn 23, Gallade comes in, looking like a big problem. He reveals the Bulk Up set, which doesn't seem to... I mean, actually, I was about to say it doesn't seem to cut it, but then I realized I forgot that Zard is base 100, so ignore me.
Gallade is relatively bulky.
Yeah. And here, like, you can just see how the game's gonna go. Turn
Yeah,
27,
very
the
much.
Coco goes down.
Lucha can't really win this one. There's still Milotic in this field.
Yeah, Sludge Wave is just a solid 2-hit KO. He does manage to take out the Dragalge, reducing it to a 2-0. But Celesteela lives and just air slashes it down. Probably could have been really problematic if he missed that last air slash, but you know. Not a lot I can say about it, really, from my point of view. Zappy didn't really have to make many aggressive plays apart from the Shadow Balls to
Even
win the
one
game.
wasn't necessary. Like, Zappy, I think, just straight up outprepped Showen and had a great matchup.
Outprepped, had matchup advantage, outplayed. Sorry,
Yep.
Showen. You didn't play badly, but it's just the way it landed, I think.
Like,
I would have liked to see some disabled Bulu action for the Celesteela.
No, stop it. Terrible set. But yeah, any closing thoughts from you, Mike, or?
well, I do have to say that I appreciate the fact that Zappy kept the Celesteela, the Milotic, and the Dragalge.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh. Well, that was completely unintelligible due to lag. I think Discord's failing. Oh no! Discord, why do you do this? We're in the middle of a cast. Technical difficulties. 1 second. Oh. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Can you guys hear me?
Oh,
There
okay.
we go.
Right, okay. So Discord failed miserably. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen. So Mike, would you like to retell your
Hey.
closing thoughts there?
Well, I have no idea where I left off, but
Pretty much from the point where I said, Mike, do you have any closing thoughts on this? And then it was just static. So from the beginning.
basically, I feel like Zappy the right things alive at the end. Like, for every offensive threat that Showen had left, he had one defensive check for it, like Milotic for the Zard, and then the Dragalge for the Coco, and then Celesteela for the Holucha. I just feel like it was good that he kept those around till the end game.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Is that all we have to say about that game?
Yeah, very much. Can we move on
Cool.
to that?
Final game, we have the Miami Heatwave, coached by The Confusion, taking on the Dublin Dunsparce, coached by Cam. This was actually a really early game in the week. I was surprised that this got done near immediately. I don't have much to say from team outset. Both teams look relatively balanced. Both brought the fast pivot electric type. No notable sweeper really on the side of
Mew.
No, there's plenty of sweepers on the side of Cam. I'm talking about the Confusion.
I mean, Scissor to some extent, but he has to get rid of this Felix first.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though it could be superpower, but
it isn't Mega Scissor, it's regular as well, so it doesn't really have the defenses to as effectively set
To
up.
watch out for Mew as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Right, so shall we just jump in? Turn 1.
Sure.
Vaporeon lead versus the Como. It's favourable to Confusion for sure. An important switch game going on between them all. Cam decides to leave in his Steelix on turn 3 in return for Rocks.
Yeah, that's a little bit weird, but I do think Rocks are worth it versus a team with as much momentum as the Illusions.
Oh yeah, for sure, but
Yeah.
do I'm not I think like Steelix sets up Rocks against like virtually every other mon on the team. I'm not sure I agree with taking 50% from the one mon that really hurts it aside from Darmanitan for that. Yeah, very weird.
Yeah, it was a little bit questionable, but I do think I can understand a play. But I would have read it on later.
Lum Decidueye as well, revealed turn 5. Gets a crit on the Jolteon and sends it packing.
That's a bit weird, but yeah.
Is this
nice crit.
Do we think this is SD variant of Decidueye? I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
I think it was, yeah.
That runs Lumberry.
A lot of, yeah, it was. It gets revealed here at turn 8. I think for sure the team sticks true to its form, being the most pivoty team in the league's history.
Yeah.
I think he unfortunately just sets up the SD a bit too late, and as a result can't really utilize it properly. He does manage to take out Steelix as well, but
I do think Protect Como is a little weird.
I think it was a really defensive Como variant that Cam brought.
Yeah,
I remember him talking to me about the matchup, and I believe he did mention that it was a really defensive variant. So it's an interesting use of Como for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly different.
Turn 12, we see the Moonblast over the Hyper Voice to block out Soundproof. That's becoming more and more standard these days.
Very much.
Spadef drop on turn 13. It's pretty unfortunate for the Vaporeon because it gets forced out into the Sylveon, which does not take those hits nearly as well. And then it gets crit as well. Kind of sucks, but I think it was justice for the crit on Jolteon.
Yeah.
The Sylveon didn't have an item, which makes me wonder what it was. I didn't notice anything like out of the ordinary in terms of the damage it was doing, unless it was an offensive variant. I don't know.
Could have been like a berry, I guess, but I don't know.
Turn 16 and 17, I want to talk
Yeah,
about this
weird.
Darm, because this Darm is absolute flames. Belly Drum sub SD Salak. SD? Jesus Christ, what am I talking about?
No.
Belly Drum sub Salak
Wish.
variant, which is really cool.
But he had a sound move.
Yep. Way too.
Yeah, and then clanging scales happen.
I
So
don't think it's optimal this matchup though when your opponent has an Azumarill which Aqua Jets 24/7.
Yeah.
That's nice try. At least he tried.
Nice try, and it would have been Flames had Clanging Scales not been a thing.
Very much.
Way Sizzle immediately afterward.
Yeah, and then lost it to
It's
a
a little weird how he
flamethrower.
doesn't get a defense drop though.
Yeah, I believe it's a showdown bug. It should definitely get the defense drop. Not that it mattered in this situation,
Busted move.
because there's no physical attackers left on the field. Freeze at turn 20 on the Como. Unfortunate. Does cost Cam a differential point in the overall scheme of the game. But again, Miss Magius able to come in here. The Vaporeon's on a timer, so that ends up going down to the Toxic, and then it's Mega Manetric after that.
Yeah. Just
Miss
kind of
Magius
easier.
tanks the hit and crits it with the Shadow Ball for justice on the for the freeze. So a 3-0 a little bit of hacks this week.
Yeah, I don't feel like it mattered a ton though.
No,
It
I mean,
balanced out fairly.
yeah, I think it balanced
Yeah.
out fairly, the crits and the freezes and such. Yeah, not a lot to say. This unique team, unfortunately, not working out for Confusion that well so far. Everybody thought, wow, this is a Flames draft. It's going to be really, really fun to see. But
I
it's
didn't
just
like it at all actually. But
I mean, nobody liked it in a practical sense, I don't think, but the concept of it was really quite entertaining. The fact that it was every mon had some sort of momentum move.
I thought it was Loki a meme.
But maybe it is, I don't know, I've never asked him about it. But unfortunately, it's just not been doing the business for him so far, so we'll have to see if he can
No.
pick up some wins in later weeks. Cam returning to form this week, I think, after probably a disappointing loss for him.
Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure he rushed his week 1 as well. Not sure, but
Confusion lost week 1, yeah. He lost
no,
to Showen.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that Cam rushed his week 1 prep.
Oh,
versus
yeah.
Jay.
Maybe.
So yeah, Cam certainly showing that he's still threat in the division. And yeah, probably play a contender as well. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
If he plays like that.
If he gets back into his usual form, for sure.
Yeah, and this is pretty much as usual for him. So yeah, I think Cam's gonna do well this season.
Yeah, for sure. So that concludes all of our games this week. So, do we want to do a quick rundown of predictions for week 3? As we're recording, I think we've only had one game played, so we can put in predictions for the week 3 results if you like.
Sure.
I think there's 2 games played, but still.
Has one been played recently? Let me check battle replays. So the ones we need to skip there's been 2 games
I
played.
have no clue.
The games we need to skip are Arctic versus Abetek and King versus Emma.
Oh, I don't even know that one. So my
I
prediction is that
do.
Sky's gonna body him. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
fun.
Well, I'm not going to comment on it because it is a source of storytelling for next week, I'm sure. Right. So
Game.
week 3, we'll start with the blue division. The Dunfermlinoones versus the Carolina Lycanrocs, I believe. CAL. That's correct. So that's Jock versus Matrix. Predictions
Jock.
on that?
Matrix
Okay,
really
yeah.
hasn't been doing great.
Matrix
And
hasn't been
Jock-
doing great, but Jock hasn't either. But I want
Yeah,
him.
but Jock, I feel still. Matrix, I feel like has made a lot of questionable plays this season right now, and Jock much less so. He's just been getting luck, like King.
Yeah.
I have more
okay.
confidence in Jock, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree. Anyway, I think it's going to be Jock to win. The Dutch Dragonites versus the Virginia Escavaliers. That's been played. The London Garchomps versus DCC. That's been played. So next we have the Edmonton Coilers versus the UNC Wingulls. I'm going with the UNC Wingulls.
Yeah, same.
I
So
kind
this is
of
kind
want
of
to
like a-
go for my boy Austin, but kind of depends on what if he runs an offensive Manibus. Nah, I think that Johnson can probably win this one. Austin has done some questionable stuff in general, so
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Vancouver Milotics versus the Manchester Mareep. Now, I think this is pretty close.
This was kind of a 50-50 for me, honestly.
I feel like TB is gonna get this one. Like he's kind of
Fitz-
rusty, I guess.
Yeah, Fitz seems rusty and doesn't seem fully into it.
Fake out Blastoise, man. After that, I don't have confidence in you.
Yeah,
Gonna go with TB as well.
I think it. Yeah, so it's been unanimous on all fronts so far. And then the Carioka Krooks versus the Pittsburgh Rose and Thorn. This will be a big aspect, a big game aspect.
I think Dave is gonna get this one.
Okay, Mike, what do you think?
I think I'm actually gonna go with the Carioka Krooks for this one, mainly because of the fact that if Birabon preps like he did last week, then I think he might actually catch David.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know what? I think about the same as well. I think I'll put the faith in Birabon for that. Cool. So predictions for the yellow division. None of these games have been played yet, so we can get the predictions down for all of them. Game 1, the Lowell Spinners versus the Detroit Enteis. I'll have to sit this one out, but that's me versus Lonely.
Well, I think you have a very nice matchup versus Lonely, but I honestly feel like Lonely has a pretty good chance, so I'm going for my boy.
Okay, that's fine. I can accept that. Mike, you're...
I mean, I feel like when it's the 12th rank versus the 5th rank. I don't remember what rank
I
you
think
were
I dropped
on.
like 6th or 7th actually after this week.
So I feel like there's almost no competition. I feel. So I'm voting for you.
My boy's gonna come through, watch.
Be the worst game of my life if I lose that one. Truly.
Mega Blastoise gonna, I don't know, Dark Pulse flinch you and you're gonna get crit all over your face.
Yeah, that's probably the heads and tails of it. Lonely Luck will come through. But anyway,
Yeah,
I've got to back
If I can win
myself.
versus you with Iron Hat flinches, he can.
Right, okay, moving along. LA Lopunnies versus the Royal Tiger Ninjas. Now this game might end up delayed because Jaime will still be away dealing with his personal situations and such. But if he's back, who do we think?
Play Lopunnies. Myself, mainly because Zephyr's season has been really slow, and I feel like
I think he's struggled and he's really rusty and he's not into it yet.
the team
Yeah.
is very much like him. I'm still.
Just based on matchup, I think Zephyr has a better one, so I think he'll get back into shape, and with this matchup, I feel like Zephyr can pull through.
Fair enough. Solid opinions. Toronto Bidoofs versus New Orleans Pinsirs. This one will also be delayed as Perp is on vacation, so it'll be replayed in the weeks following, like week 5 or 6. I think was the agreement that everybody came to. But I don't know. I don't know really. Jay had a really good start and then a really disappointing week 2. So
To be fair, Alex is a great player, so yeah.
but
I feel like 5-0 in Cam in and of itself was a really great accomplishment from Jay. I think I have to go for Jay for this one.
okay.
Yeah, Jay as well.
Cool. CLE Legends versus Heracross Almelo. Nathan versus Showen. Another pretty even match, I think.
Yeah, I feel so as well. This one is probably the toughest. Like, I think I have to give it to Shonen because Megazord plus Tapu Koko looks very threatening versus Nathan in general.
Right.
That's what else to say.
Yeah, I agree. I'd probably favour Celia a little more. I think they made a good comeback this week. I think they do have the options to be able to stop the Almelo team.
True, but I think that I feel like the players are pretty much equal in that match. Like, so I think it comes down to matchup, and I just like Showen's matched up a lot more.
Okay. Kansas City Cubones versus Miami Heatwave. It's gotta be Alex.
Yeah.
Sorry, confusion. Really love the team concept, but it's been a really disappointing first couple of weeks, and you're about to go up against one of the strongest players in the league. So
Yeah, pretty much explains itself.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm on the same. I just really think that the confusion start has been like the same with Zafir has been really just slow, and I feel like versus Alex it definitely does not help.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, the PEC Buzzwole versus the Dublin Dunsparce power game.
Right.
This is a big one.
It sure is a big one. It's the rematch of the season 5 finals. Yeah, it was last season's finals, so it's a finals rematch.
I think Sappy's got this one just because of how low-key busted his team is.
I have to go for Zappy too.
Okay. I'm gonna abstain on that one, because I don't know. I feel like the games that we saw last season, both players showed they could be incredibly creative, and I don't know. I feel like Cam might have something up his sleeve. I don't know, guys. I'll split the decision. I'll go with Dublin Dunsparce on that one.
Fair enough.
Cool. So that concludes REDCast episode 3 for Battle Week 2 of the league. Thank you guys very much for joining me. I understand that it was a bit complicated and it's very late for everyone to try and get this to work, but I appreciate you guys sticking with. Thank you very much to Bill Standish as well for his early appearance, or his appearance early in the cast, and his commentary on most of the games. It was an absolute joy to work with him. So yeah, do you guys want to say your goodbyes? Any last words?
I love you all.
There we go. Mike, are you going to end it out with resounding silence, or?
Well, I guess I'll just say that we'll see in the power rankings as I continue to do them throughout the season. Hopefully complete them like last time.
Yeah, and thank you very much for that service as well. You are doing the league a great service of your own time, and we all greatly appreciate that. But anyway, that concludes this week of REDCast. I've now officially given up on trying to make this cast under 2 hours. It just has to average 2 hours on average. Right, so thank you very much for watching. Thank you guys very much for joining. And we will see you in REDCast episode 4 for our week review of the trades, transactions, action and predictions for Battle Week 3 of the Regional Elite Draft League. This is your host Regenix, signing off.